Good evening, friends. On behalf of Unacademy, I welcome you all to this session. Unacademy is the largest online platform which provides experienced educators for students who want to crack national level entrances such as NEET, CSIR JRF, or UGC JRF. I am Dr. Bhupender Kumar. I have done my MSc in Biotechnology and PhD in Life Science from JNU. I have myself qualified JRF twice during my MSc days. Now, one of the most important module that is asked during CSIR JRF is inheritance biology, which is also known as genetics. Now, within that module, you have a question which is asked again and again on pedigree analysis. So today in this lesson, we are going to study about pedigree analysis. So first we have to define what is a pedigree. Now a pedigree is actually a pictorial representation which tells us about the family history of an individual. And within that tree, we talk about certain characteristics. Sometimes a single character, sometimes more than one character. Now we have to understand what are these characters. Eye color is a character, hair color is a character, skin tone is a character. Now some of these characters are monogenic. That means they are regulated by only a single gene, and in most of the cases many of these characters are polygenic. Now what's a monogenic character? Where you have only one gene which is responsible for a particular trait or a disease in this case. So a mutation in that particular gene will lead to a particular disease. Now, to understand pedigree, we need to learn about certain symbols which are commonly used in a pedigree tree. How does a male is represented in a pedigree analysis? How is a female represented? Now if you see on this chart, on the left hand side, the first symbol is a empty square. In a pedigree analysis or a pedigree chart, a empty square represents a normal male and a empty circle represents a normal female. Sometimes we don't know about the sex of an individual. In that case, a diamond is used to represent. Now, these are about the normal individuals. Sometimes you have a disease and that disease is monogenic. Within that pedigree, if a male is affected, then a squared box which is filled with red color is used to show that it is a diseased male. And in case of female, it will be a red colored filled circle. And when you don't know about the sex, it will be a filled diamond. Now, sometimes since we are diploid, that means we have two chromosomes. Sometimes mutation in only a single copy is sufficient to cause a disease. That's called as a dominant trait. And in most of the cases, you need two defective copies on both chromosomes to show a diseased phenotype. Now, in this second case, consider a situation where you have one wild type copy, which is normal, and one copy which is mutated. These individuals carry that mutation, but they are not diseased. They don't show the disease. They are called as obligate carriers. That means they carry the mutation and they can transfer that particular mutation into the next generation. In a pedigree analysis, if you have a carrier, then we place a red colored dot in the center of the symbol. So for a male, a squared box with a dot in the center represents a male carrier, and in case of female, a circle with a red dot represents a female carrier. Now, in some cases, the disease is not clearly identified. That means you have a carrier which is asymptomatic. That means unaffected at the time when you are trying to study the disease in that individual. For a hypothetical example, consider that the onset of disease starts at 20-year age, but the pedigree analysis was done when that particular individual was 15-year-old. So you won't be able to identify the disease in that particular individual, even if it was a dominant trait. In those cases, we use this type of symbol. So a line in the center, a vertical line in the center of the squared box or the circle will represent a asymptomatic carrier. Now, sometimes within your family, when you study a family tree, your grandparent might be expired, grandfather or grandmother, or your cousin brother or your real brother. When someone expires within your family, you know about that person, but he or she is not currently alive. In those cases, we use a horizontal line at 45-degree angle. If it is a male which has died or which is diseased, then we will use a line horizontal in the squared box that represents that this male has died, and same goes for the female. A line at the 45 degrees Celsius, it is a female. Now, in a pedigree tree, sometimes we find that at one level there is no disease, at second level suddenly a member of the family is showing a disease. Now, at the third level or the fourth level and at the subsequent level, diseased individuals are observed. So the first individual which is identified as the diseased carrying individual is called as a proband, which is the first symptomatic carrier. Okay. Now if we see a simple, very simple pedigree tree, you can see on the right hand side that this represents the first generation where a male married a female and their marriage resulted in 3 kids. First a male and then 2 females. In this particular pedigree, a very small pedigree, none of the parents or the children show any kind of diseased character. That's why all of them are empty. Now, in the second case, you know that many families adopt children. Sometimes they have a boy, they want to adopt a girl. Sometimes they have a girl, they want to adopt a boy. In those cases, we use this type of symbol. That means this particular individual represented by this dotted line and which is connected to this family which is not part of this family. Now, this male came from this family but adopted by them, which is represented in this case. Now, in some cases, we know that twins are born. We can have monozygotic twins. That means twins which are born from same zygote, and in normally all cases they are either both male or both female. Then you have other type of twins which are dizygotic. That means 2 zygotes were fertilized. In those cases, you can have either both male, both female, or a male female. Both, all these combinations are possible. When they are monozygotic, they are identical twins, and when they are dizygotic, they are non-identical twins. In this case, you can see that a bifurcation is shown here instead of the normal line, and it is jointed. This inverted Y is jointed. This represents identical twins. When this jointed segment is missing and normal Y is there, it is called as a non-identical twin. And sometimes when you are not sure whether they are dizygotic or monozygotic, a question mark is placed here. Okay. Now we will see the last case. consanguinity. What is consanguinity? In many families and in many groups, marriage between related individual is very common, such as marriage between first cousins and second cousins. Now, to show that whether these two individuals are genetically related to each other, we use these double lines. That means these two individuals, is female and male, they are marrying, but they ultimately belong to same family. They are closely related individuals. So we have to show that they are closely related. Why it is important? Because most of the recessive disorders which are prevalent in a population, they come up or they find both mutated alleles in the individuals which are born from parents which are genetically related to each other. Now, a pedigree can be a autosomal pedigree. Within autosomal, you can have either the dominant type or the recessive type, which we have already discussed. You can have X-linked traits. So that means a trait which is present on X chromosome. That can be X-linked dominant or X-linked recessive. And then we can have Y-linked traits also. So we are going to study about these autosomal X-linked and Y-linked dominant and recessive traits one by one. Now, for the first example, we are going to discuss a autosomal dominant pedigree. What are autosomes? You already know that we have 46 chromosomes and 44 of them are autosomes. 2 of them are sex chromosomes. You have XX system in females and XY system in males. Now, we have 2 copies of each autosome. That means if we are talking about chromosome number 1, we have chromosome 1 and 1 dash, one which came from the father and the one which came from the mother. And if it is a dominant trait, that means either the allele or the gene which came from the father or from the mother, any one of them, if it is mutated, you are going to find that character in the next generation. As you can see in this particular disease, this is called as Van der Waals syndrome, where this child is having white hairs, a white hair patch in front of his head. Now, on the first level, you can see that this male has died, disease, and this female is having the disorder. Now we know that she is having the disorder, but we don't know whether both of chromosomes within this female autosomes are mutated or a single copy is mutated. Now, their marriage resulted in 2 individuals. These, one female and one male. And since these are dominant characters, these are represented in both the children. Why? Because we get one set of chromosome from the mother and the other set of chromosome from the father. So the chromosome, the autosome which is mutated is coming from the female parent and is giving the disease to both male and female children. Since it is autosomal, that means no involvement of X or Y. Now in this case, you can see that this male which is affected by the disease married a female which is normal, and at the next level their children, all of them were not having disease. See, this male is having the disease, but the brother of this particular male is not having the disease, even though here the male is diseased. That means this male is having one normal copy and one mutated copy. The mutated copy came from the female parent, while the normal copy came from the male parent. Now, this boy inherited the mutated copy from this parent, while this boy inherited the normal copy from this parent. Because we need only one mutated chromosome to show this disease. In case of female, she was also lucky, she got the normal chromosome. Again, this male got a mutated chromosome or mutated gene, and this female was again normal because didn't got any mutated chromosome. Now, since this female didn't had any mutated chromosome, in the next level, both the twins which were born, females, you remember, non-identical, these are non-identical, that means dizygotic female twins, they didn't have disease. This male never married, these two, male and females, they married, have normal children because they don't have the disease. This male married which has the disease, and two females born from this parent have the disease, and this male is not having the disease. That means this male got one mutated chromosome from the father and one normal chromosome from the mother. And in this male, at the fourth level, this parent which was affected passed the chromosome which he inherited from the female parent, from the female grandparent. Okay, so this boy is having the chromosome which was inherited from the female grandparent. Now we know that there is a pattern here. What? That on all levels, level 1, 2, 3 and 4, you can see the disease. That means in a dominant trait, there is no skipping of generation, and a disease is found on each successive levels. That means in the grandparent genera, and in the mother-father genera, and in the grandchildren generation, and subsequently downwards. Now, in most of the cases, an affected person has an affected parent. In case of recessive disorders, you can have parents which are not affected, leading to a son or a daughter with a disease. Parents are not affected. But in case of dominant disorder, you can see that there is always a parent which is affected. See, in this case, his parent is affected, so their downwards generation, they are affected. Here it is affected, so their children affected. This is affected, so their next generation is affected. Here it is not affected, so in the next generation there is no disease. And unaffected persons do not transmit the trait. Obviously, if you are not affected, that means you don't have a mutated copy. Therefore, in the next generation, they are going to inherit only wild type normal copies. So, no presence of any disease. Now, we have to finish this for today. And in the next class, we are going to discuss about autosomal recessive traits. I've already given you some ideas about recessive traits, and we will see other examples in the next class. Thank you.